Hello and welcome to the Dailies, being the 12th of July 2023, where we'll be looking at various stories that are on the paper this morning. So we'll beg your indulgence to drop your comment on our Facebook and on our YouTube, handles, and then we'll take those comments. And as usual, we'll open the phone lines later so you can also air your view and your thoughts on any story that is of interest to you this morning. I am Sela Elisha Dasham, and I will be doing this alongside Rachel Tanzi. Good morning.
Morning, Sally.
How you doing?
I'm fine. How about you?
I'm fine. Little bit under the weather, but I'll be great.
All right.
Yes. All right. Let's go straight into the paper, starting with the Daily Times newspaper.
On the Daily Times newspaper, AFCC arraigned Katsina Deputy Accountant General for alleged 261 million naira fraud. The big story on the paper's cause of Delta residents flee homes over lethal gas leak. Thousands of fish dead. Air saturated with strange smell. Fire outbreak likely. Rivers polluted. You can start with the details on the front page and continue inside the paper. And on killings, declare emergency on Plateau State now reps other Ribadu. Still on the paper, on flood disasters, NIMED warned government others early enough, but no action was taken, a statement coming from the DG. And at the downside of the paper, Tinubu to customs work to ensure 48 hours clearance of goods at ports. You can find the details of that statement on page 9, and that's all news on the Daily Times newspaper.
All right, let's take a look at the Metrics newspaper, starting with a big story. Ondo State government counters Adamu says Akeredolu not incapacitated. You can start reading the story on the front page and continue reading inside the paper. Still on the paper, we have on subsidy removal. Eradicating fuel smuggling might take time. Coming from custom, we hope that they sit up because it is possible. And then still on the paper, we have another story that says okay, looking at another big story on the paper here where we have fuel subsidy removal. Tinubu gets fresh commendation from Senate. Senate urges urgent implementation of palliative measure to cushion the effect. You can find that story on page 2. Other stories here says Tinubu orders security agency to fish out the mastermind of the Plateau killings. And then we have court hands over lawyer to EFCC over criminal charges against Udwa. You can find that story on page 19. Also, we have MMDQ exchange traded. Okay, I take that story again. Trade derivative market goes live. You can find more of that story inside the paper. And we have downside of the paper that says security operative set ablaze seized vessel with stolen oil. We saw that from yesterday, the 300,000 liter vessel that was found. And you can find detail of the story on page 3. We have a picture story here seeking support for Tinubu government. We can see the vice president among others. So you can do a grab the paper read story that is of interest to you.
On the Nigeria standard, Nigeria at peak of corruption insecurity under Buhari coming from Kuka. GOC convenes security meeting in Mango. You can find the details on page 2. PLSG in their financial distress. MDA laments over MACBEN's unguided utterances. The big story on the paper, fuel smuggling persists in borders despite subsidy removal, statement coming from the custom boss. Suspend university fee hike implementation. You can start with the details on the front page and continue on page 2 of the Nigeria Standard. We have a picture story showing the Plateau State Governor, Barrister Caleb Manasseh Mutfwang, with the President Nigerian Institute of Building, Professor Johanna Daniel, when he led other members of the council at the courtesy call at Government House and Little Rayfield just on Friday. And that's all the news on the Nigeria Standard.
On the Guardian newspaper, the big story, a power bill 13 senators to earn over 5.6 billion naira ex-governor pension and benefits. I think this is a story that we saw earlier on where others were actually fighting the issue of this talking about pension for ex-governors.
Yes.
I remember even then the Senate president was being called that they should give account of how much each of these ex-governors earn. And I think it's really important, Rachel. I won't stop emphasizing this, and forgive me if I get emotional at a point like this.
Yes.
It is not right whatsoever looking at it. The fact that we have people who are still at the helms of affairs in this country, knowing what the country is going through, and we're still having them actually feeding on the detriment of Nigerians. We're still having the issue of palliative for Nigerians at a time where the fuel subsidy has been removed to cushion the effect. This is already, take this week away, we have 5 weeks down waiting for what will be the fate of civil servants, especially in regard to the increase of minimum wage. And here we're seeing about 5.6 billion naira for ex-governors. And when you take a look at all of the people who are there, are people who are presently in leadership as either as senators
Yes.
or House of Rep, or regardless of whatsoever position. And maybe we'll still be having them coming back even as ministers for those who do not make it to the front page this
Yes.
morning. So it's really quite disheartening for a common man out there when you tell them, just like we keep saying, that you understand their pain. Nigerians will tell you do not understand what it feels like to go to the market in the morning with 5,000 naira, hoping that you'll be able to get something for your household, and then you come back with just a black polythene bag with nothing much. Schools will soon be writing exam. Believe you me, Rachel, there are parents that have received their kids back home because they did not complete the payment and they cannot write the exam.
Yes.
And we're talking about promotional exam for such students. So of course you'll be having students that will repeat because their parents were unable to pay their term fees. And then if you're having students that parents were unable to pay, why? Yeah, because we all went through the system, and you know that you have to pay your second term and your third term fees in second
Together,
term.
yes.
Because you need to write YGEC, you need to write JAM, you need to write NECU. And then parents cannot afford that. Why? Because we're being bombarded, the country was being bombarded with different policies, left, right, center, starting from the cash crunch that you're unable to access, and then fuel became very scarce. Eventually, first subsidy has been removed, and then already this schools and then NEC is pushing forward for the increase of hike. And then you're having even 1,000 naira annually that will be paid by those who have cars already. Lagos and Abuja have already started. So a lot of things at a time like this when Nigerians are still trying to figure out a way out of things. And then you see stories such as this captured on our paper. Of course, you would say that the people do not, or would I say the leaders do not understand their pain. And I'm talking passionately like this because I'm just hoping when we're saying cut down the cost of governance, it starts from as little as saying that the allowances our senators are earning is too much. Let's not even talk about their salary that is about 2 million or so, or 1 million, however it is. You look at housing allowance, you look at domestic staff allowance, you look at change. Some of the allowances, if you accumulate, we're talking about over 21 million naira, and Nigerians are begging. And so I just hope that I really applaud states that really took away this payment of pension for governors whatsoever. Because you remember we have states that maybe the head of state then during the military regime was the head of state, and then you became the governor, and then maybe you're a former military personnel or whatever security agency, you became the senator. So just imagine you collecting pension in all of this place, and then civil servants that have been serving the country religiously for 35 years of service, and then you are still begging for your pension to be paid and nothing is. So I'm just bringing all of this to limelight so that we know that a lot of work needs to be done. I know it's not just in a day that this can be adjusted, but then I just hope in as much as we are merging some MDAs, in as much as we are just seeing a way we can cut governance, I'm just hoping that this can also be applicable. On the paper earlier, we can see that Plateau State government is struggling with distress because of finance. There's no money. Workers are being on salary for about 3 months. So you can imagine the pain of Nigerians at the time like this. So I'm just calling on the government representative in various places. It's not just for you to go sit down in the green chamber or red chamber and then you do not pass any bill that will benefit the people. No, let us see you. Let us see leaders that are willing to take the bull by the horn. No matter how many people you will hurt, but if it will benefit more people, I'm waiting to see a leader that will actually stand up and say, okay, let me give my allowance away because of this certain thing. So we look forward to see what they will do, in as much as we are looking at we don't have enough resources to, finance certain things that are going on in the country.
Like Sele, to be honest, our leaders are not in a position to feel our pains, neither do they have the capacity to feel what we're going through or how it is for us. They're just not in that position. However, they are in the position to listen and to act. They're in the position to be able to hear what we are saying, to see how things are going on in the country, and then to be able to do as we have asked them to do, because we put you there in that position. Therefore, it is your duty and responsibility to listen to what we are saying, and then for you to be able to act on it. And what I keep saying is, we know the problem, Sele. We have the solution. However, we always go after the solution that is probably insignificant to solving the actual problem. Now, when we look at the cost of governance, let's be honest, where is the cost of governance really high? That is where we need to tackle it, Sele. Merging the MDAs and every other parastatals or sectors that we want to merge, or offices, is that truly where the problem is? That is the question. Is that truly where the cost of governance is going to? It's almost like that this is a solution. This will solve 60% of the problem, but you decide to put the one that will only give 5% result. And that is what I see the government of Nigeria doing. And that's why I keep hammering and I will keep saying, Sele, I'm looking forward to selfless leaders, because let's put it like this: we're seeing that Akpabio, who is now the Senate president, and 13 others, meaning he is in the position now as lawmakers, as representatives, as people in the power, to say that we are going to cut down the cost of governance. I was a former governor. This is what I'll be receiving. However, I am in the position now to say we are cutting it down by 50%, we are cutting it down by 30%, we are cutting it down by 40%. You are in the position to do this. And until we have leaders that are not selfish, Sele, that are saying that truly this part of governance is consuming a lot, and we are ready to make the sacrifice, in as much as it is my turn, with that mentality that they have, that it is my turn to enjoy the government, to enjoy the national cake, take what I can take, in as much as it is your turn to have all of these benefits given to you. However, if you are truly patriotic and you are out there and you want the best for Nigeria, then it's time for you to make the sacrifice and say it doesn't matter. We need to cut down the cost of governance because we need these funds to be channeled elsewhere. We need Nigerians, we need palliatives to be out there. We need minimum wages for civil servants to be increased. We need to step in directly. These are decisions that don't take 4 years for them to be impacted. This is something that if these people should decide now, the following month something can be done, Nigerians can start feeling the impact of it. This is something that can be quick and fast. It's not one of those policies or things that you would give it ample amount of time to wait and see if it's going to work. No, we're not talking about floating of naira. No, we're talking about cutting down the cost of something. If I decide today that I'm going to cut down my expenditures to be able to save a certain amount of money, the following month I should be able to feel the impact of what I have the financial decision I have decided to take. So that is the same thing. So we're just watching and waiting, Sele, to see if truly we have leaders that are willing to do the things that is expected of them, and that will take Nigeria to the next step and will help the common man in this country.
Rachel, doing that will mean you have to step on the toes of a lot of people.
Of course.
And one thing I believe about this whole thing is the fact that I don't even have to pass a bill in the House. For instance, if I feel that my bill will not sit well with a lot of lawmakers there, it's as good as taking my allowance and saying, in my own constituency, what can I do? During the scarcity of water, what did you do? Now, right now, it's raining and there are a lot of people are going. You can go start making palliative for people in your
You
constraints. Let
can.
us see you going around sharing rice, sharing maize
Yes.
in your own little way. I think Nigerians will applaud you for that, not even waiting until something is being done in the next 5 weeks. So we hope that they actually,
We
take
hope
the
so,
right
sir.
step. Well, let's look at other stories still on the Guardian newspaper. Hotel staff to die by hanging for killing manager UK returnee. You can find detail of that story inside the paper. FMDQ introduces exchange traded derivative markets. We have separating empowerment project from First Lady's vicinities. You can find that story on page 5. Tinubu breaks silent, others arrest of Plateau Benue killing mastermind. I think it's long overdue, but it's better late than never. You can find detail of that story inside the paper. Reps tackle banks over illegal deduction, indiscriminate charges. You can find detail of that on page 4. And I'm really happy Reps is taking that. Rachel, you're having 10,000 in your account. Before the end of the week, it has turned to 9,000 or 8,000
Yeah.
for certain charges you just
Yeah.
can't give account for. So I'm happy that Reps has taken this thing up, and we hope that more steps will be taken to
We
make
hope
sure
so.
that such things don't continue.
Yeah.
The last story on the paper, coalition seek Rimi Gado sack, revisit of 2006 report on Kwankwaso. You can find detail of that story on page 20, and that's all on the Guardian newspaper.
On Daily Independent, PDP governors decry rising insecurity killings in Zamfara and Plateau in others. The writer fleeing the story charged federal government, INEC, security agencies over Bayelsa, Kogi, Imo, Guba polls. Tantita NNPC set vessels with stolen crude ablaze in Delta. The big story on the paper, Senate probes fuel subsidy, queries 9.3 trillion naira spent in 30 months. You can start with the details on the front page and continue inside the paper. Still on the paper, we have lives must be secured for census to be successful. Coming from NBF, says no nation conducts census when territories are overrun. You can find the details on page 29. Akpabio names Senate Committee Chairman and deputies. Tinubu seeks screening confirmation of service chiefs. Reps constitute panel to screen service chiefs. Not all borders are reopened yet, Customs CG declares. Reps ask varsities, unity schools to suspend free hike. Kogi government says it has no time for SDP Guba candidate, warns those spreading falsehood to prepare to face the law. You can find the details on page 7. Still on Daily Independent, federal government acts to rally behind bleeding Nigerian airlines. The writer flowing the story, airline CEO knocks Odua Sirika over actions in sector. We lost 18 aircraft to bird strikes in 6 months coming from Air Peace. At the downside of the paper, Benue government raids Otom's automobile shop, seizes vehicles. You can find the details on page 6, and that's all the news on Daily Independent.
For Nigerian News Direct, the big story, Plateau killing. Tinubu talks tough, instructs security agency to locate mastermind. With the rider, IGP NSA pledge improve synergy to improve security. Nigerians will go about their businesses without fear under my watch, coming from the Army Chief. You can find detail on page 22. A PME contributed immeasurably to advancement of local content in Nigeria, still in regards to the death of one of the Nigerian News Direct editors. You can find detail of that inside the paper. On the 10th National Assembly leadership, Akpabio ignores APC National Working Committee, named Senate Committee Chairman. You can find more inside the paper. Custom intercept 37 trailer loads of rice, 173,000 liters of petrol in Ogun State. You can find that inside the paper. Delayed IPO, we will make initial public offering soon, coming from the NNPCL GCEO. And also coming from the LCCI, telling the federal government revenue leakages halt the $5 billion paid as flights to foreign ship owners. You can find detail inside the paper. We have a picture story captured on the front page of the paper. Do well to grab the paper, read detail of the story that is of interest to you.
On New Telegraph, port rehabilitation. Federal government opens talks with offshore banks for 600 billion naira loan. Naira weakens to 788.42 per dollar at I&E window. You can find the details on page 25. Coming from Cary, NNPCL no longer writes rules, now competes with IOCs. Jonathan leads WAEF pre-poll mission to Liberia. And on state police, Lagos Assembly asks National Assembly to amend constitution. Nigerian airline destined to fail from start, coming from Airpeace chairman. You can find the details to why he said so on page 2 and 28. The big story on the paper, season of investigation. Senate probes oil subsidy under recovery regime. Frowns on 9.3 trillion naira spent in 30 months as reps scrutinize banks' illegal charges, halt CBN social media handle policy. National Assembly constitutes committees to screen service chiefs as Tinubu requests chambers confirmation. You can find the details of these stories on page 2, 4, 5, and 7. Odua's criminal charges called hands over lawyer to EFCC. Marwa orders nationwide calm down on illegal sale use of laughing gas. You can find the details on page 6. Senator seeks federal government urgent intervention on southeast roads. Reverse hike university tuition fees. Green Chambers tells NUC. On insecurity, fish out plateau attack perpetrators. Tinubu orders security. You can find the details on page 4 and 5. Nigeria's revenue endangered as militants vow to crumble oil production. Marketers confirm capacity readiness to import fuel. You can find the details on page 3 and 8. At the downside, we have a study that links cannabis use during pregnancy to autism and ADHD. You can find the details on page 7. And that's all the news on New Telegraph newspaper.
Richard, I hope we take this vow seriously coming from the militant, where they have vowed to crumble oil production when we are still fighting with our quota for OPEC. And then we've seen that over, I think from last week or last 2 weeks on the paper, we keep seeing about pollution, we keep seeing on gas flaring coming over from the Niger Delta. And we've raised concern. We've called on the agency that are involved. We call on the government, call on Shell and others that are really involved in all of this to do something as quick as possible. We already have a lot on our hands. When I mean we the government, Nigeria, we already have a lot on our plate and we are not done with it yet. So I hope that something quick and fast will be done about the issue of this oil spillage and all of that. A lot is happening right now, and I don't want to go back to what happened when we had the issue of the militant and we had to come a way of looking for to negotiate round table. And it's really sad because promise that was given to the Niger Delta, they are not really seeing it. I remember there was a time on the paper when they were pushing for an added percentage, about 50% or so, and the government said they can't give them that percentage, despite the fact that yes, they are the oil producing state, but then the government said looking at its revenue and what was going on as of that time, the government didn't have enough. But I hope that we go back to that round table and check out what was really the terms and condition that was given and what was a promise that was supposed to go to them, and how, just like we keep saying, yes, one of the things that we can't totally do away is the fact of the spillage and other things, but there's a way we can minimize it.
Yes,
so I hope the government will look into that, because looking at this vow coming from the militant is really not a good one. We already have Boko Haram, ISWAP, herdsmen, various names that are coming up. We don't want to add up this to it. So I hope the government will not sit on this vow. Let us do something about it. It's not just one of those rumors. No, for it to make it to the paper, it calls for a serious investigation and a probe, and I hope something will be done about that.
Excellent. Like nobody is done with Nigeria. I am not. A common man is not, and so also is the government not. With the recent happening and everything going on in the Niger Delta, you don't have to wait till you see this. Your common sense, your sixth sense,
Common
whatever,
sense
your
is not common, Rachel.
intuition.
That is the
Yes,
sad thing.
your intuition should tell you that something like this will soon pop up. And even from myself personally, I already kept on having this feeling. I said, with the negligence, with the spillage here, with even the suggestion to scramble amnesty and all of that, and I kept on seeing all of that, and it concerns me. And I keep saying it, that the Nigerian government have all the resources it takes. They have all the information. They have everything it takes to make Niger Delta better and to meet the aids of these people. This place should be a very buoyant place in the first place. The people in Niger Delta shouldn't lack anything, and it should be one of the places that its transparency and accountability should not be joked with. If you as the government have said that you are pumping money into this, then it is one of those places that you need to sit down and make sure that you see every kobo is being spent. It's not one of those places that you neglect. You don't just give the money and don't care whether the people you put there did the job or not, because we are trying to avoid things like the militants coming back, because they're not even gone completely, Sele. They are still there. How are we going to start with something like that from the scratch again? Because this time around, Nigeria is in so much chaos, Sele. We have so much on our hands already when it comes to insecurity, and we cannot afford having this kind of threat coming to. We are not even capable of handling what it is on ground right now. Talk more of something new. So I just hope that the Nigerian government wake up, Sele, because this is sad in a lot of ways, because this is sad, Sele. That's just all what I can say, because the more I'm trying to
you
find,
when you get out of words of
exactly,
issues like this.
because when I think about it, the words don't even want to come out of it, because this is a place that we shouldn't want to go. We should have been done with the Niger Delta. There should have been some balance by now. There should have been some abundance for them in a lot of ways. Just as you said, it's not like there won't be pollution, but at the level at which it is, it means somebody is careless somewhere, somebody is sleeping on their job, because it shouldn't be as much as it is now. We should have grown past certain level, but it feels like that is not the case when it comes to the Niger Delta. And we just hope that the government wakes up and just acts quickly about it, because it doesn't smell like it's going to be nice if things should keep going on the way it is right now.
Well, Richard, I think let's leave this up to our callers when we go for the break.
Yes.
We would like to go on the break right now. Quite a lot on the paper, where Reps is giving a suggestion for state of emergency in Plateau State. We're seeing the vow coming from the militant on crumbling down the oil production. We're having vessel being seized. Quite a lot on the paper this morning. So we'll take a break at this moment to let you chew the stories. And when we come back, we'll take your calls. Please stay tuned with us.
If people are engaged with happenings in their country, they will better understand where the government is going wrong.
And once they do, they are better equipped to combat the problem as well as prefer solutions.
On Nigeria Now, every Monday to Friday at 3:30 p.m., we bring you
Analysis of happenings in politics,
crime,
security,
and government policies.
Thank you for staying tuned. It's still the Dailies on Network Television. We'll be looking at quite a number of stories on the paper. Just like I told you, we saw the vow coming from the militant to crumble down oil production. Already the president has said that those who are masterminding the killings in Plateau and Benue should be brought to book. And also we've seen seeds of vessel of illegal crude oil that was found on the sea, and it has been intercepted and destroyed. So a lot of story on the papers. We'd love to hear what your takes are concerning the story by calling us on our number that is displayed on your screen. please do remember to turn down the volume of your TV set when you call us, because we really want to, hear what you have to say. And other viewers will also like to partake by also hearing you. So please do us a favor by turning down the volume of your TV set when you call us. I still have Rachel with me in the studio. Thanks so much, Rachel.
You're welcome, Celia.
All right, let's take a look at the Voice of Liberty before the calls come in. On the Voice of Liberty, starting with a big story. Tinubu appoints 20 new aides. Tunde Rahman Masari make list 3 weeks after they made the last set of major appointment. President Bola Tinubu has hired 20 new aides. You can find detail of the story inside the paper. Shut your door against desperate lobbies coming from Colonel Umar to Tinubu. Still on the paper, reps suspend proposed hike in federal varsity unity schools fees. Also on the paper, we have former Vice President Uzibanjo gets new appointment. You want to know what that is? Check the story inside the paper. Tinubu writes Senate to confirm service chief's appointments. You can find detail in the paper as well. Security operatives set ablaze 6 crude oil tanker with stolen oil. You can find that in the paper too. Plateau killing fails. Tinubu vows to break cycle of violence. You can find detail of that story inside the paper. And I think the story made it to quite a number of papers. I think it's important. Reps suspend the proposed hike in federal varsity and unity schools fees. I think it's important. We saw where it was seemed like it was a rumor. It made it to our papers and all of that. The issue of increase of varsity, school fee, and then we're like, that means a lot of students would be getting out of school. So I'm happy that the reps have stepped into this, and we hope that we see the varsity also understanding, because you check some of the reasons some of the varsities are giving is the fact that the money being given is not enough for them to maintain and all of that. And then with the issue of the school loan that is coming in, a lot of things, student loan that is coming in, so you get to know that a lot of things are not working. But I'm happy the reps have stepped in, to actually, look at the issue of suspending that. So we hope that we do not hear that any varsity will go outside and actually increase the hike at the end of the day, because we saw some are increasing the hike as high as even 200%. So it's quite a sad one. I'm happy the reps have stepped into to actually help Nigerian students to continue, their studies on a very, I say subsidized price whatsoever. So I'm happy about that. And I think that's all on the Voice of Liberty.
On the Nation newspaper, border reopening plan in progress, says Customs CG. No ministers list yet, says APC. Mustafa Bintube is Jai's Bank Board chairman. How Wike helped Tinubu to win Rivers by Okocha. You can find the details on page 29. VAT likely to go up. Naira sells at 788 per dollar in official parallel markets. You can find the details on page 7. Intercepted vessel destroyed in Delta with 150,000 empties of crude worth $86.8 million.
Right, let's take this call. We have a caller. Good morning. Hello, good morning. All right, we lost that call. Hope you call us before the end of the show.
Still on the Nation newspaper, the big story, Adamu incapacitation talks sparks raw over Akeredolu. Ondo State PDP raises dust. Deputy Governor, I spoke with him on Sunday. You can start with the details on the front page and continue on page 4. Senate to investigate 9.3 trillion naira spent on petrol subsidy in 30 months. You can find more details inside the paper. At the downside of the paper, we have Senate sets up 7 ad hoc committees. Tinubu sat over Plateau and Benue killings. You can find the details on page 27, and that's all the news on the Nation newspaper.
And on the Punch newspaper, Naira devaluation, Nigerian students face tough times in UK. Tuition soar by 60%. With the rise of new forex rate threatening overseas students, indebted scholars barred from classes. Parents beg federal government for. All right, we have a call. Hello, good morning.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we
hear
can.
you.
Good morning.
Hello?
Good morning, sir.
Yeah. Yes, I'm calling from Jos.
All right, please go ahead, sir. We are with you.
Contribute on the issue of this university varsity.
Are you
see,
there,
all
sir?
this, this government that we're talking about today, government that we find ourselves in, is a government of high cop. Yes, I can hear you.
All right, go ahead.
This government that we have today is a government of high cop. As soon as they came in, if you remember, they just removed subsidy. So I'm not surprised this subsidy is going to go to the university. We are talking about 200%, it might even go to 500%. Believe me, Tinubu is just like another Donald Trump that does not care about the poor people. He just believes on how the rich man lives. And I'm telling you, university is going to go more than 200% if it's this government. They don't care about the masses. All they care is get to rich, make things expensive so that Nigeria will not be habitable for anybody. Nobody can live in Nigeria again. So that they can control us. Since we are people that don't know how to defend ourselves, don't know how to stand up and fight for our rights. So we finally got a leader that is going to is going to tie us like goats. Everything is going to be 100% increment in Nigeria, believe me, before Tinubu leave. May God help this country.
Amen.
All right, thank you so much, sir, for that. Quite a lot. I think not far-fetched from what we've been seeing here on the show. I don't know if you want to add up something to what
No,
he
so
said.
that just as he said, may God help us, because it looks like everything is on the increase. Because in as much as the reps are saying they're stepping in, you don't just step in with your mouth, Sele.
With action.
Exactly, stepping with action. So I'm really looking forward. We all have siblings in school. So when the session begins, we are really going to see if truly they didn't increase, or did the universities go ahead increasing it. Then we will know whether the reps just said it or they really acted upon it.
Of course, because Nigerians are tired of lip service. We're
Exactly.
hoping for the work.
Yes.
The big story on the Punch is actually a big concern to me, where we have parents beg federal government for concession as tuition living costs climb amid forest crisis, especially for those who have JAPA
Yes.
to other country to study. And it's quite sad looking at the fact that they are actually facing tough times. And I won't say I'm happy, neither would I say I'm sad. But this call for a lot, looking at the fact, of course, our naira is valuing. It keeps going down and down and down. I begin to wonder. I remember there was a time I raised concern. We even have schools that are running in the country, and then you can't even pay fees in naira. You have to pay fees in dollars. So imagine being in your own. Okay, I think we have another call. Hello, good morning.
The government to them. And I tried to them to help us. They want to increase tariffs. I don't get it. So what can we do? There's nothing we can do. Remember the president was saying that nothing has stopped him from winning. And he has already won. So, you should pray for us so that God will change his mind to help us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Though we didn't get what you were talking, but yes, we didn't. Okay. All right. Thank you, sir. We didn't get.
Yeah, I think the call was quite
exactly. But if I should get him, he made mention something about wage. I think minimum wage precisely, and praying and hoping. I believe is in his sector, perhaps what it's not good. But then I didn't get it well. I might be assuming what he said, but it has to do with the president doing right. I just hope he calls back.
And then still looking at the issue of Nigerian students. We're looking at the fact that they're actually facing tough times with the naira devaluation. And I do not know, even though we're having parents begging federal government for a concession so that they can actually help our students out there. And we're saying this is the same UK that are stopping, Nigerian students from bringing those who are depending on them starting from 2024 and all of that. So we hope that this will help us to improve. I keep emphasizing on the fact that it will help us to improve our own education sector here, because believe you me, most of those who are there are not just those who went there because they just wanted to, but it's because of the way things are going on in the country, with strike coming left, right and center, and then you are really not sure where you will graduate. I think this is the main reason that make most of the students leaving the shores of Nigeria to go study abroad. So we hope this will help the government. There are so many things I know that Nigerians are expecting from the government. But just like the president said, we shouldn't pity them. So we keep asking more, like Oliver Twist. Until you give us the best we want, Nigeria will keep asking more. So I hope that the federal government will be able to do something to help Nigerians that are studying abroad, especially looking at how can we make our own naira to have value and not keep valuing it by bringing some policy that keep, reducing the value of our own currency.
Sele, sometimes when I make certain statements, it's not coming from sentiment. I'm also a Nigerian. And what I want to say is that it's about time we become more intelligent, because I see a lot of times we do a lot of things and there's no sense in it. There's no thinking, there's no intelligence in it. We think we do have the money to do certain things, but an average Nigerian is not intelligent. We might go to school, we might have basic understandings of certain things at the surface, but we don't have it deeply, and nobody cares to go deeper. And when you see Nigerian students facing tough times in the UK, and we're having parents begging the federal government, is you that sent your watch there. What were you thinking? That it will be easy, and now you're asking the federal government to help you. Did you sit down to think there's nothing the government have done for all these years to make sure that our naira keeps going down? So what were you thinking, that if you sent your child and a dollar was 500 per naira, that tomorrow is going to go back to 200? Did you see the government doing anything to bring down the naira? Did you do all of those statistics? Did you sit down, do your estimation, your prediction, your costing, and saying, if my word is going to the UK in the next 4 years with the economic policies and things on ground, we have.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I feel those students are not really there because most of the parents won't send them there to have fun. Hello?
We can hear you.
Go ahead, please.
It's because most of the parents know that they come back to Nigeria with a good, if they come back to Nigeria with a good result, being the UK, Nigeria, we prefer people that have done something outside because, they have read deeper. So they'll bring more of intellectual ideals to the country. So they'll get easily jobs. That people that have schooled within Nigeria, they rarely get jobs.
Okay.
So I feel some of the parents are not really doing it because they want their children to have a lavish or a very foreign lifestyle. They are not doing it because they need their children to come back and be more employable. And keep their family. I just feel that's just the way things are going.
Hello.
I think
Thank you.
Please do remember to turn down the volume of your TV set, because it's quite difficult for us to get the
Hello?
message. But I think he was still making reference to what you were saying.
No, his point was that parents are taking their student out for a reason, for a better result, because we favor more of that result. So I don't understand whether he's on the side of supporting the appeal from the parents.
From what I understand personally, what I understand is the fact that it's just like what I said, some of the situation around is what make parents to send their awards. And believe you me, maybe some of these parents, Rachel, actually send their awards earlier before now. For instance, maybe your award is actually in the final year, then we're seeing that they have actually stopped some of the scholars from attending classes. So definitely you'll be able to write the exam for your final and all of that. But just like you said, yes, of course, it will be expected that you calculate the cost of what your child will do there, but sometimes we really cannot predict things.
And that was where I was going to sell it. We're talking about a system, an economy that over the years this has been the trend. And the question you have to ask yourself is that, have the government done anything to add value to the current? And the question is no, it's out there. Everybody knows that. Now, even at the time where we had the dollar at 160 naira to the dollar in exchange rate, we still had our currency devaluing. The difference between then and now was that it was slow, and now it is rapid. But we've never had our naira gaining value in this country, we haven't. It has been depreciating ever since 1999 drastically. Even before then, since in the 80s and all of that, we've been having it. It's just that it became drastic over a period of time, but nothing has been put in place by the government in our financial policies and all of that to see that our naira gains value. Every attempt has failed because they haven't been strong enough or seen duly the right way. And of course, corruption has been playing its role. Now, what I'm saying is that now you are looking at the chaos in the country. Now, which is the government going to face? Is it the palliative that you're supposed to give the Nigerians that are in the current hardship currently with the subsidy removal? Is it the student loan? Is it the hike in the school fees in school and the government seeing how they will step in? Or is it the students now in the UK that are asking the government to come in and intervene into the issue? So I'm just looking forward, Sele, to a situation where we are intellectually high in everywhere and then we are balanced, because we keep saying it, Sele, you are one of those agitators of the Japa. Let's be in Nigeria, let's not leave, and all of that. Exactly. And when you decide to leave, there are consequences to it, and I'm looking forward to Nigerians that when you take your children abroad, you shouldn't come back to the federal government for help, and that is where I stand.
Well, Rachel, regardless of what, we are all children of the government. So definitely parents will ask the government for a concession, the issue of the hike. But then, just like you said, everybody is entitled to his opinion. But for me personally, I think this is a call for us to improve on our own educational standard. Let us see how we can make it. Let's see people coming into the country. I mean, that will help to strengthen Nigeria, because whether you like it or not, you have to use the Nigerian naira to pay school fees. And that's why I frown on schools where you go here in Nigeria, then we see them say you have to pay in dollar, and you are in Nigeria. Come on, that's an abuse to our currency.
We allowed it.
I feel we allow it. So I'm hoping to see measures that will come in to actually do that. Well, let's look at other stories still on the Punch. SEC investigates Otude Cole's FBN share acquisition. We saw that story from yesterday. You can continue to read that on the paper today. PDP governors demand credible polls in Bayelsa, Imo, and Kogi, the states that will be having election off-season in the Ember month. We also have APC crisis deepen as Omisore labels Lukman black sheep, still the issue of the APC that they have been having. And then we also have police kill sit at home and forces IPOB declare 14-day lockdown. We hope that everybody will stay indoors. They say sit at home, so you don't actually get into trouble by that IPOB or some security agency. Panel storm Autumn's automobile workshop empowers vehicles. You can find more inside the paper. And we have FMDQ exchange launches derivative market. You can find the story inside the paper. We still have a picture where we can see the vice president among other stakeholders. Do well to grab the Punch and read detailed stories of interest here.
On Nigerian Tribune, how Global Consortium became First Bank's largest shareholders. Senate to probe NNPCL subsidy regime, kicks against 9.3 trillion naira expenditure. Security operatives said a Blaze vessel intercepted with stolen oil. You can find the details on page 30. The big story on the paper, Plateau's cycle of violence must be broken. Others manhunt for killers. We will get to root of insecurity in our region coming from northern governors, and we're looking forward to that. You can find the details on page 3. Reps to CBN stop banks from demanding customer social media handle. NDLEA orders nationwide clampdown on illegal sale and use of laughing gas. Drama as judge hands police lawyer to EFCC for filing criminal charges against Odua. Okeredulo not incapacitated coming from Ondo government. His absence not affecting governance coming from the acting governor. You can find the details on page 2. Apabio constitutes standing committees. Adiola heads appropriation committee. Adaramadu Media. You can find the details on page 13. At the downside of the paper, not all land borders are open. Acting Customs DG affirms seizure of smuggled fuel. You can find the details on page 23. And that's all the news on Nigerian Tribune.
Well, Richard, I think that's how far we can go because our time is fast spent. But I think the issue of reps to CBN stopping bank from demanding customer social media handle really needs to be taken seriously. We
Should
saw
be.
the data bill that was
Act,
passing
yeah.
that, so that will give us the right to protect it. So if you ask me for that, I have the right to sue you because you don't have the right to. My social media is my social media
is.
handle. Let's relate in what concerns you and not my social media. So we hope to see more will be done about that. Thanks so much, Rachel.
You're
for doing
welcome,
this with
sir.
me. And thank you to our callers for calling on the show. Thank you to the crew members and also our supporters. Thank you to the general manager and the Echo executive. Until we come here again tomorrow, do have a blessed day.